They said this was the most critical and consequential presidential election of our lifetime. One candidate had 88 felony indictments, most of which he was awaiting trial on, and 34 felony convictions for which he was awaiting sentencing. He was now also an adjudicated rapist, which should come as no surprise since he bragged on an Access Hollywood tape about grabbing unsuspecting women by the vagina. After the last election, he did everything he could to remain in power, including running a fake electoral scheme in several states, asking the Georgia Secretary of State to fraudulently find him votes that didn't exist. And in his final act, he incited an insurrection on the American Capitol to stop the certification of the election. On the campaign trail, this candidate vowed to be a dictator on day one, and his Project 2025 agenda was one that aimed to end democracy as we know it. So yes, this was the most critical and consequential election in our lifetime in American history. As it stands without a recount, he won and America lost. So here are my 5 reasons why.
Politics, it's Israeli, let's go. Politics, XL, let's go. Politics, this culture. Politics, with a culture, let's politic, this culture, politics.
Peace and blessings, family. This is Culture Politics, the show where we decode the matrix of these political streets through the lens of truth, justice, history, and the culture. Here on the shoulders of my ancestors with all facts and never cap, I'm your host, artist, and entrepreneur, Jerrel XL. Welcome to the movement. Real quick, please like, comment, and subscribe to keep this movement of ours growing. Thank you. Pundits on cable news and on social media are going to talk for a long time about what happened in this election. Everything I've heard so far is loud and wrong and skates around the truth. So though there are many, here are Cultured Politics' top 5 reasons why America lost the election in its democracy. First of all, we have a broken electorate. So many voters don't understand how the government actually works. They don't understand it on the federal, state, or local levels. They don't understand the roles and responsibilities of the 3 branches of government or the system of checks and balances. They don't understand how a law is made or a bill is passed. You have people voting that know absolutely nothing about the Constitution. Second of all, it's political ignorance. So many people that don't pay attention to what's happening or what's going on for real, yet choose to be loud and wrong about their opinions. They don't know how to source quality information, so they simply parrot biased or bot compromised information. Due to the fact we have so many uneducated voters on how the government works and so many people that operate out of political ignorance, it leads to several things. First is voter apathy. When people don't see how elections personally affect them, they don't care. False narratives about the Democratic Party has taken root because people just don't understand how government works on any level. So due to miseducation, misconceptions, and false narratives, some people have erroneously weaponized their votes against one party at the worst possible time. Second is misinformation. People are naively falling victim to misinformation and disinformation campaigns. Russian bots and black space is a great example of this. Misleading political ads is another. Third is one-issue voters. To keep it a bean, I can't stand these people, family. Imagine going to a grocery store to cook for a holiday dinner and needing everything, but because they don't have the cranberry sauce or the particular brand of cranberry sauce you want, you choose not to cook holiday dinner for your family at all. You ignore getting the turkey, the greens, the yams, the mac and cheese, the bread for the cornbread, everything. Foolish and stupid. You cancel Christmas over one menu item when the bigger picture is so much bigger. In this example, you and your family would miss the holiday experience for this one moment and still have the next holiday. However, with an election, it's 4 years and anything can and will happen in that time. This ignorance has caused the MAGA cult to expand. Black and brown people are literally voting on the same side as people that hate them, all because ignorance has them believing a hate code is what's popping. They begging to sit down and eat with white supremacists, not understanding that their own community are what's on the menu. Lastly, When it comes to political ignorance, I need to point out that one-issue voters, third-party voters, and non-voters are all in the same ignorant basket with the rotten MAGA apples. There was one party that has actively worked to suppress votes by closing down polling places and trying to gut the Voting Rights Act and the civil rights that civil rights activists gave their blood for in the 1960s. By voting third party or not voting at all, you're playing right into the hand of the MAGA GOP. On my ancestors who fought so valiantly in that era, I just can't respect voting third party, being a one-issue voter or not voting. It's weak and disrespectful to the ancestors. My number 4 issue is campaign disparity. One candidate has been running for 4 years in earnest and 9 years total, while the other candidate only ran a 3-month campaign. This is a deep rabbit hole, but I'm going to give one short example. Kamala's campaign did not have enough time to understand the deeper issues at play, and because of this, they didn't have their ear to the street in enough time to truly understand the landscape and make quality adjustments. For example, if you truly know the temperature of young men and how deep the fascist campaign has gotten into spaces geared towards men, from podcasters to the manosphere to younger hip-hop media and beyond, then you don't have a controversial female rapper so prominently featured to kick off your campaign. Let's keep it a bean. The message of a lot of female rappers that includes finessing men and using them for money has consumed the culture and dating and led to daily social media gender wars, and is a huge turnoff to a lot of men. And that message, in my opinion, is one of the biggest reasons behind the manosphere. I think if MVP had run a traditional primary that included campaigning in every state, her introduction as a lead candidate would have been vastly different. And she would have had deeper cultural insights, revelations, and strategies before the general election. Some men made it seem like she herself was Megan Thee Stallion, which we know is some bullshit. My number 3 reason that the Big Tent is burning down. The Democratic Party is known as the Big Tent because they stand for human and civil rights for all Americans, regardless of race, gender, class, or sexuality. In contrast, the Republican Party centers itself around white people and traditional white families and condemns diversity. The Big Tent also holds many different groups, and as new groups come or are formed, the Big Tent gets bigger. As the tent gets bigger and time goes on, some feel that they don't need others in the group. Some feel that now they have their rights, so they don't care about the rights of others. Others feel that if they leave the tent and support Republicans, they'll be accepted by whites, treated white, and seen as white. Bringing all these groups together to defeat the conservatism of white supremacy is a major obstacle in every election. And this time we saw multiple groups selling out their own people for alignment with white supremacy. With groups selling out their own and also not caring about the human rights of other groups in the tent, the white supremacists saw this and smartly ran attack ads to cause division throughout the tent. The Big Tent is on fire and burning fast. My number 2 reason is that this is who America is. The Grapist is a symbol of white supremacy to white Americans. Their religion is white supremacy, and he is their God. Nothing he says or does matters at all as long as he upholds white supremacy. His words are true and everyone else is lying. They believe him and not their lying eyes, ears, and mind, because he upholds what they value, which is white privilege, white grievance, and white ignorance. He quotes Hitler when speaking about others, and it means nothing to them. This darkness, this racism, this sexism, this xenophobia, this white supremacy is who America is. This orange grapist is the most unqualified and unfit presidential candidate in American history. He belongs in jail for all his crimes against America, but because he represents white supremacy, he's in the White House. This is who this country is. It's only white privilege that would allow a convicted felon that incited an insurrection to become president. Could that have happened with Barack Obama? Hell nah. Listen, anytime white privilege, white grievance, and white ignorance is chosen over black excellence, you have white supremacy. It happened in Tulsa, it happened in Wilmington, now it's happened to Kamala. Any and everyone that didn't vote for Kamala chose white privilege and white ignorance over black excellence and supports white supremacy. Let me say that louder for the homies in the back. Any and everyone that didn't vote for Kamala chose white privilege and white ignorance over black excellence, and therefore supports white supremacy. Kamala's plans were for all Americans, including white Americans. Trump didn't have a plan outside of taking away rights. White Americans for Trump don't care about democracy and gladly chose fascism over democracy as long as white supremacy was still in place. This is who we are as a country. As much as I have an issue with Uncle Ruckus-ass minorities that voted against their own communities, the reality is white America did this. They make up 70% of the electorate, and the majority of their votes went to the rapist, racist, convicted felon. Make America Great Again is the rallying cry white supremacists united under after 8 years of a black president. MAGA made it clear they didn't want a black person running the country, and despite Trump being the most flawed candidate ever without any plans to make the American people better, they chose his fascism over her democracy and opportunity economy because they're racist, and in many cases also misogynist. Misogyny is also who America is. Misogyny burned holes in the big tent and united black and Latino men with white supremacy. Misogyny worked two ways in this election. The first and obvious way was the insecurity on display with having a woman as president. As already mentioned, with him being white, no matter how flawed he was and how much better of a candidate she was, he was still a man and she was still a woman to misogynists. Just like he was still white and she was black for racist. There are millions of weak and insecure men out there that have a problem with women leading the administrative state, which is what the presidency is. It's not a monarchy, it's not a dictatorship, it's the executive branch of the government, the C-suite of America. The second way misogyny played a significant role in this election is that women's rights were on the line in terms of body autonomy. Millions of men basically said they don't care if women are bleeding out in emergency room lobbies and can't get help. Millions of men said they don't care if the life of a woman is at stake in a pregnancy. Millions of men said that their rapist leaders should further have more control of women's bodies when it's not wanted. White privilege, white ignorance, white supremacy, racism, misogyny, blackface, and weird-ass goofiness is who America is. This is a circus, so it shouldn't be surprising a clown was chosen to lead. This is who America is and has been. This is her worst self. This isn't America's best self. The American ideal and experience is better than this. America is a reflection of the leader they choose, in this case, a racist and misogynist. The Grapist campaign talking about giving police immunity, and a week after the election announced reparations for white people. Can't make this shit up. I respect that he doesn't hide his agenda. I don't respect y'all that support it. Alright, my number one reason why America lost democracy in 2024 was because of the corrupt corporate lamestream media and their soft propaganda practices. They accomplished this victory for the Grapists by employing just two dangerous techniques. One, sane washing. This media ignored all the weirdness of Trump, all the criminality of Trump to make him seem like a normal, everyday presidential candidate. His indictments, his convictions, his handling of COVID and the economy, none of that was ever mentioned. His weird campaign tangents about Hannibal Lecter or sharks ignored. His lies about black people eating others' pets swept under the rug. They sane-washed this dude for public consumption of a normal horse race election. The media presented him exactly as he wanted them to, even though it wasn't close to the truth. You would have expected this from his racist and misogynist fanboys, but the media? He wasn't fact-checked at debates or criticized for not doing interviews outside of safe spaces, which leads to the second dangerous technique: double standards. Joe Biden was attacked by the media relentlessly for his age and for his cognitive ability. Trump is just as old and has worse cognitive ability, and the media was silent throughout the whole campaign for the exact same reason they relentlessly attacked Biden for. After Trump debated Biden, in which a horse Biden just got back in the country, Trump lied non-stop. Every time he opened his lion-ass mouth, a lie fell out, according to fact checkers, as well as those of us with common sense. Did the media cover the lion? Nah. They created a shitstorm around Biden, who spoke nothing but the truth, to the point that he dropped out of the race altogether. Then Kamala steps up and steps in. The media hounded Kamala about doing interviews. She went on every mainstream media channel, including Fox News, Trump declined 60 Minutes and only went to Fox for interviews. Lame street media was crickets. These are just two examples out of many in how the media held double standards throughout this campaign. Charlamagne the God and Angela Rye even confronted Anderson Cooper on CNN about it. This leads me to my last point, which is CNN is the worst in all media. Because what they feel the need to do is play both sides. This is the horrible problem. After Nazi riots in Charlottesville, when a woman was killed by Nazis, Trump remarked there were good people on both sides. Y'all remember that? And speaking about the presidential candidates, the media's addiction to both siding candidates creates an alternative reality built on false equivalency. They held back including vital information and important facts to make a decision off of so that they can even out the playing field. The media itself ran election interference. The propaganda campaign has been going on for almost a decade now with Trump is why everyday conversation, people casually both sides political conversation. A false equivalency narrative has been firmly established in the public by the lamestream media. Why is it like that, you might be asking? Well, you guessed it. The media is inherently racist. To the media, Trump appeals to everyday Americans, and to them, everyday Americans mean white. Another term is working class Americans, which the media also means white. You ever see the media in black space interviewing voters and labeling them everyday Americans? Yeah, nah. You always find them in some hick diner interviewing white people and labeling it everyday Americans. Even after the election, the media talking points of working class people excludes black people from being considered working class people. This racist rhetoric is aligned with racist Trump and his black jobs comments. Black people aren't working class in Trump or the media. We're less than that. We're so low that even an immigrant who can't speak English can do what it is we're supposed to be doing in our black job. Whenever someone says both sides, just know it's ignorance and protection of white supremacy. So these are my top 5 reasons why America lost. Yes, America lost, not Kamala. The idea and the promise of America was on the ballot. Kamala was just here to protect it. She didn't lose, America did it.